Hi, my name is Elisa Cruz. Today I'm going to be doing an application presentation on Module 9, which is Chapter 23, Dramatism of Kenneth Burke. I'm going to be focusing specifically on identification. So in this chapter, I learned the importance of identification and persuasion. If there is no identification, there's not going to be any persuasion happening. So identification is the common ground between the speaker and the audience, and it can be whatever substance as far as physical characteristic, attitudes, occupations, talents, friends, experiences, attitudes, beliefs that the speaker is trying to have in common or does have in common with the audience. So if there's not a lot of identification, if there's not a lot of common ground between the speaker and the audience, persuasion is not going to happen. So identification is really important when it comes to persuasion. If the speaker can't identify or the audience can identify with the speaker, persuasion is not going to be happening. So the more substance, the more in common between the speaker and the audience, the more identification that there is. So I work at Pre-K for SA, and I work every day to identify with the families that I work with. I work with families that come from different religious backgrounds, that come from different cultures, that come from military families, that come from divorced families, that come from single parent homes, that come just for all different types of families. And I have to work every day to identify with my audience, my parents, my families, the students that I work with, in order to be more personable, in order for them to feel comfortable in bringing their child to me every day, in order for them to be more comfortable and believing me when I say what the way we do things at Pre-K for SA is going to work for their child. It's hard at times because I'm not a parent, and sometimes they don't know how to agree with me because that's not a substance, that's not a common ground that we have. But I always let them know that the reason that they're sending their child to school is for a better education, to become more sociable, to become independent. And those are all things that I want for their child. Even though I don't have any children of my own, that is still something that if I did have children, I would want for them. I always let my parents know that Pre-K for SA, we're going to teach their child to have their own identity. While they're going to be coming from this different backgrounds, even the students among themselves, they work every day to identify with the other students in the classroom. They work to be more personable, to convince the other students, oh, you do want to play with me because I like superheroes the way you like superheroes. So in the chapter, I also learned that identification works both ways. Not only does the audience need to identify with you, it also helps you to fit in with the culture or whatever attitude it is that you're trying to persuade your audience to believe. Either way, identification is never going to be complete. We're always going to be working to identify with different people or different groups of any background. If there was no division, if there was no differences between people, then there would be no need to have an identity. If we all believed and thought and looked the same way, we wouldn't have an identity. We wouldn't be the person that we are if there wasn't differences. So that's why identification is almost a two-way process, but it's also a process that's never going to end. It's going to be an ongoing cycle in order to keep each person to be their own individual, to be unique in their own way. So if you're looking to convince somebody to have the same viewpoint as you or trying to make a new friend, just always think about identification, what it is that you have in common with that person or with your audience. If you have some kind of common ground with them, then persuasion will happen.